Guys, my name is Jennifer Lewis. I am a seventh grade Texas history teacher, but I have a lot of experience that I wanted to share with you guys about teaching reading. And being a social studies teacher, so much of my content is reading based. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that a lot of our students don't have very solid reading skills. And being that we are an online school, we don't necessarily get to sit with our students and really work with them one-on-one on those reading skills. I've had the privilege this semester of working with Miss Armstrong, my PLC partner, and we have been having twice weekly read aloud sessions where we allow students to come to a session, a CC session, and read our chapter of the day out loud. And we've had some really good turnout with that. One of the things that we've noticed is that even students who are struggling readers are enjoying the opportunity to practice. Kids who maybe aren't comfortable reading out loud are still having that opportunity to come and listen to other um, students read or even the teacher read. But one of the things that I've noticed with some of our readers is that they really just don't have a lot of the strategies that we use as good readers. And so when I start to think about the reading instruction that I've done in the past and some of the things that have been most meaningful in my classroom, is that I always stop and ask myself, what do good readers do? Okay. And so I started to look up some strategies and I found all these anchor charts and posters and things that teachers have used over the decades to teach readers what good readers do. But I think that it goes so much beyond this. I think that so many times as teachers, we have kind of used these strategies like envisioning and creating this thing in our head and making predictions and inferring and all of this, but we're not really teaching kids how to do that. All right. In social studies, clearly the content is, well, sometimes it's just boring, and I get it. Sometimes, even for myself, it's very difficult for me to read and kind of put myself into the story and really understand what's happening. And I find myself having to reread over and over and over again, which kind of leads me to my discussion today and something that I want to share with you guys, and just a strategy that I want you to be sharing with your students. When we are reading content-based instruction, it is so important for teachers to be really focused on the strategies that we use as adults. And when I say that, one of the things that I really mean is like that whole metacognition thing, thinking about what you're thinking. Stop and really focus on what are the things that you are thinking about when you are reading? What are the things that you are doing when you are reading? A lot of our students don't have good modeling for reading in their home, okay? I was very lucky. I grew up in a home with parents who were readers. My mom made going to the library really important. We always had books to read. And so I raised my children the same way. I married a reader. My husband reads voraciously. So both of my children were readers. It was not something that I had to teach them, it was just something that they saw. When we start to think about our students, we start to realize obviously not everybody lives the way that we do. And you yourself may not be a reading for pleasure kind of person. That's okay. However, we do have to stop and really kind of remove ourselves from the anchor charts and the cute sayings and the little goofy charts that we've seen in classrooms all these years, and really stop and focus on, what do I do when I'm reading? What are the things that I do to help me understand this? Okay. So clearly, I don't walk around like with this little poster with a bag and a book and a I love to read t-shirt. There are some things that I have to do when I'm reading my content. Okay. Now, in the social studies textbook, just like most nonfiction books, we have a lot of so much content on a page. And so what I like to point out to my students is, when I'm getting ready to read content that is difficult or uninteresting, I like to take a step back. I like to look at the entire page and really focus in on what is this big idea that the author is trying to give me. All right. Now, a lot of times when we use the social studies textbook, I do find that some of these pages are entirely too overwhelming. I mean, like this one's fantastic. Okay. Has a picture with a caption, and some subtitles. Great. It's fantastic. But then you get to some of these pages that are just so overwhelming with content, like this one. Okay, has teaks all down the side, has vocabulary words down at the bottom, has a graphic organizer that we could use, has things up here that I don't even know what this is. I do know what this is. This is about the online book that the students don't even have access to. Okay, has an essential question, has it matters because like there's so much content. Kids have to be taught how to manage this content because if we don't focus in on what we want them to understand from this text, what we want them to take away from this content and not be distracted by all of this extra, they start to lose meaning. All right. So, one of the things that I like to call out, especially when we're doing our read aloud, is I like to stop my students sometimes and talk to them about like, what's the meaning of that word? What does it mean in context? How are we gaining more understanding from that one word? Okay. Last week we talked about irrigation and the way that Texans can modify the environment by moving streams and rivers to irrigate their crops. And I asked in our read aloud, what does irrigation mean? Nobody knew the meaning of the word irrigation. So if you don't know the meaning of the word irrigation, you've lost all meaning of the content of what we just read. It means nothing. So it's very important, guys, for us as teachers to be calling out those kind of things and making sure students actually are paying attention to the vocabulary that they don't know, okay? Also, when we start to think about the things we do as good readers, guys, so many times I have to take my Texas history book, read the information, and step back from it for a minute. I'll find myself frequently going back and rereading the heading. And then sometimes I even back up, like I'm reading the chapter title again because I'm like, what are they talking about? Right? What does this even mean? And so I encourage you when you guys are working with students in very content heavy, very reading heavy instruction. Let's get kids reading out loud and let's start using that language like about what good readers do. I really want you guys, I challenge you to kind of get away from, yes, we're not decorating classrooms with cute anchor charts and all this. I really encourage you guys to kind of get out of that mindset and really start thinking about what you do as a reader. What are some of the habits that you have when you're reading heavy duty content? What do you do? Write those things down, share those things with your students. Okay. I always share with my kids, like when I'm reading and I don't know a word, I stop and I go look that word up. It's a habit that I have because it helps me create meaning. All right. I read the subtitles, I read the captions, I look at the pictures because all of those things together help me create meaning. And we need to be teaching our students how to do that and why we do that. All right. So this is probably old hat stuff that you guys already know, but I'm just hoping that maybe just hearing that again, that what good readers do, that you will really start to think about what you do as a reader that you can share with your students, because we have to remember that many of them are not being modeled good reading strategies, and we are that person. So let's start pushing our students to think like good readers. And I want to push you to really start sharing what good readers do in your CC sessions because this is invaluable instruction and time that we really can share good, solid strategies with our students. So if you have a really good reading strategy or something that you notice that you do as a reader, email it to me. I'm really excited to hear some things that you can teach in your class. And this doesn't have to be some gigantic lesson. It can be, hey, we have a passage up on the screen, and I say, oh, you know what, you guys, this is what I do when I read. I notice myself, blah, 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 right? Share that little tidbit with them and have them share with you what's going on in your head while this happens. So that's my tip for the day. I'm so glad that I got to share it with you. Sorry, like my walls are totally blank. We just moved into this house, so I'm sorry if I sound a little bit hollow, but so is life, right? Thanks, you guys, for visiting with me today, and y'all have a great day. Bye.